And welcome. We are live at the launch pad here at the Arianespace Center for the first launch of 2017. And there is our Soyuz rocket on the pad going through the final preparations before liftoff, which is scheduled in about 14 minutes' time. Our passenger tonight is Hispasat 36W-1. It's a very special satellite, not least because of the partnership which it's been built along with the European Space Agency using ESA's first ever small GEO satellite platform. And it's flying on board Soyuz tonight. Soyuz is effectively divided into two parts. The first three stages are the propulsion phase of the launcher, and then the upper stage, we call it the frigate upper stage. Its job is to take the satellite to its destination in space. And if we take a look inside the top of the vehicle, we call that the fairing. There we go, we can see our satellite inside. Hispasat 36W-1 for the Spanish operator Hispasat in conjunction with the European Space Agency. So here in the Mission Control Center, we've got a number of different teams working. This is the Flight Directorate or the Flight Desk. They are the people who make all the decisions in the event of unplanned situations. And of course, here on launching the Russian vehicle Soyuz, we have joint Russian and European teams. Let's find out what's been happening during the launch campaign.
The mission is quite challenging as the satellite mass exceeds 3 tons and 200 kilograms, making it the heaviest spacecraft ever sent into GTO orbit by a Soyuz frigate launch vehicle. This mission is made possible thanks to the very fruitful collaboration of Arianespace with its Russian partners, in particular RKC Progress and NPO Lavochkin. The mission will comprise several steps, the first of which being the 3-stage Soyuz flights. The action of the boosters, the second stage, and finally the third stage will position the frigate to an altitude of 200 kilometers after 9 minutes. Then, following a single frigate boost, the spacecraft will be put into its separation orbit. About 32 minutes after liftoff, Hispasat 36W-1 will be separated from the frigate and begin its new life. The entire mission will be visible from our ground tracking stations: Galileo in French Guiana, Natal in Brazil, Ascension in the middle of the Atlantic, Libreville in Gabon, Malindi in Kenya, and New Norcia in Australia.
So an exciting journey for Hispasat 36W-1 and Europe's first ever small GEO satellite. A few other key people here in the Mission Control Center. This is the Mission Director. Today it's Didier Saïd, and sitting alongside him is our Range Operations Manager tonight. It is Joël Egalji. You'll be hearing his voice throughout the flight because it's his job to call out the major milestones. And he's going to be calling one of those out in just a second.
Attention pour agir au moins 10 minutes et 20 secondes.
About to enter the final phase of
Début de la séquence finale, lanceur.
Synchronized sequence. And there we go. It's given the flight readiness signal for frigate. So we're going to go over now to the chairman and the CEO of Arianespace, Stefan Israel, who's going to tell us a little bit more now about today's mission. Stefan, thanks very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Cathy. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Arianespace is delighted to welcome you tonight for our first launch of the year, using for the first time our medium-weight vehicle Soyuz for a GTO mission from the Guyana Space Center. In a few minutes, we are going to launch the telecommunications satellite Hispasat 36W-1 for our customer and partners. Our customer, the Spanish operator Hispasat, for which it will be the 7th satellite launched by Arianespace. Our partners, OHB System AG, who built the satellite, ESA, a key partner for the development of the satellite's innovative small GEO platform. Thank you for your trust. As you can see on the control screen behind me, Soyuz is on the launch pad after having been transferred 3 days ago. All the operations linked to the final countdown went well. The weather is okay, so we should be in a position to launch at exactly 10:03 p.m. Following liftoff, Soyuz will head towards the east to separate the satellite on an elliptical orbit inclined at 544 degrees with respect to the equatorial plane. The perigee altitude will be 250 kilometers and the apogee altitude will be 35,862 kilometers. Hispasat 36W-1 will separate 32 minutes after liftoff. So our launch is now just a few minutes away. Go Soyuz, go Hispasat 36W-1, and of course, enjoy the show. Thank you.
Stéphane Israel there, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman and CEO of Arianespace. Thank you very much indeed. So here we are at Mission Control. We're about 27 kilometers from the launch pad. The status panels are all green. You can see them there on the right-hand side of your screen. Those are reflecting the status of all the different systems across the base up here in the Mission Control Center, often called Jupiter. Teams have been working very hard to bring us to today and get the satellite and launcher ready. Let's find out now what they've been doing.
Welcome in the MIC, a Russian acronym which means Integration and Test Building. Behind me, you see the Soyuz 3 stage, which will be used in order to launch the spacecraft Hispasat 36W-1, first GTO to be launched with Soyuz from French Guiana. In this building, at the very beginning of the campaign, we receive a frigate upper stage in order to perform all checks prior to its filling. The fillings of a frigate occurs roughly 300 meters far from here, and then when frigate is filled, it is transferred to another clean room 12 kilometers away from here in order to be at the rendezvous with spacecraft staff.
At the end of last week, Friday, January 20th, the satellite was transferred to the second preparation room in the S3B-HN. Hispasat 36W-1 thus joined the frigate arrived the day before from the FQ preparation building. This weekend, Saturday, January the 21st, the fairing ST has been installed on the wall, thus constituted. The logos of the European Space Agency and Hispasat were stuck on the fairing in the evening.
Here in this big, we receive step by step the 7 blocks to be used for the integration of the so-called 3 stage. After the mechanical integration, we perform a set of electrical, functional and pneumatic verification in order to verify the availability for launch of the 3 stage. This activity takes roughly 8 days, and then the Soyuz 3 stage is transferred into horizontal position from the MIC to the launch pad. This activity is done day -3.
This Tuesday, January the 24th, the upper composite has left the S3B in the early afternoon to be transported 11 kilometers away to join the Soyuz 3 stage, arrived in the morning on the launch pad.
After completion of the launch vehicle, day -2 and day -1, a set of tests on the launch vehicle itself and on ground segment are performed. And then, day 0, at about H0-10, we start all operation of the countdown.
This first use of the small GEO platform required a very strong involvement of our teams, together with those of our customer, to successfully carry out operations prepared on paper in Europe for more than 2 years.
As are saying our Russian colleagues, ni pucha, ni pira, for VS16 mission.
Indeed. And during that film, the synchronized sequence for the Soyuz vehicle entered its final phase. So we now have the two synchronized sequences, both for the frigate upper stage and for the Soyuz three-stage vehicle, often known in French as the triétage, which means three-stage, both having now entered the final stages of their synchronized sequences. The Soyuz one is called Kluch na start, which means key on start in Russian. That's because in the Russian control center, they actually turn a real key. Now, this is the launch control center here at the Guyana Space Center, and there are various teams working in here. We have joint Russian and European teams in the control center monitoring all the operations in these final phases of the synchronized sequences. We have a couple of teams, one responsible for ground operations and one responsible for the flight readiness of the vehicle. And we have a quality team who oversee procedures to make sure that they are all followed correctly. And there are safeguarding teams as well who ensure that the operations are carried out according to strict rules guaranteeing utmost safety at the base. The big grey mast, you can just see the top of it there, clamping onto the top of the launch vehicle. That's called the KZM. It's the upper composite umbilical mast. There's a much better view of it there, the great big one going up to the top of the vehicle. Now, that is carrying what we call the umbilical lines, connecting the upper part of the launcher and the satellite to the ground, the teams on the ground, the feed lines. Those are being disconnected. Underneath that mast is another mast. It's called the VKM, and that is taking the umbilicals to the lower part of the vehicle. All the electrical links between the ground and the vehicle. Those two both retract shortly before liftoff. You'll see the big one go first, and then after that the one underneath it, the VKM. A word about the ignition sequence. On Soyuz, there's a system for checking the health of the engines before it leaves the pad. The engines on the 4 boosters and the core stage are switched on 16 minutes before liftoff, and the thrust is gradually increased to check that the engines are all working fine. And then the engines are throttled up to full thrust, and at that point the vehicle leaves the pad and the swing arms pivot away.
À tous de DDO, attention pour moins 1 minute.
We are 1
Top,
minute.
à 0 moins 1 minute.
1 minute to launch. We are live at the Guyana Space Center. And we're launching Hispasat 36W-1 for the Spanish operator Hispasat, and the first of the European Space Agency's small GEO family of platforms, built by the German contractor OHB. Our very best wishes to all the teams.
Largage du KZM. À tous de DDO, attention pour le début de la séquence d'allumage lanceur. Top, à 0-20 secondes. Largage du VKM, allumage triétage. À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Top. Et décollage VS16. Les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
And they are off! Hispasat
Stabilisation correcte
36W-1.
du lanceur.
The European Space Agency's first ever small GEO platform has begun its journey. Soyuz is hauling itself against the pull of our planet. The boosters are doing all the work at the moment. They're delivering 80% of the thrust right now.
Les paramètres propulsifs sont conformes à l'attendu.
He's telling us that the propulsion is as expected. So the booster's job is to get us away from Earth. We need a lot of firepower to do that. Soyuz is heading out east over the Atlantic, and that's a first for the Soyuz vehicle here at the Guiana Space Center. It's the first time it's headed east. Usually it goes west
Tous les
or
paramètres à bord
north.
sont normaux.
He's telling us everything's normal, everything's going according to plan. You can see our altitude there, 43 kilometers above the Earth, down at the bottom left, and this is the scheduled moment for separation of the boosters. This is an image from a previous launch. Look at that.
Séparation des blocs BVGD.
They twist and turn as they fall of the way. It's all part of the plan. So we're now burning the main core stage, which is now called the second stage, or Block A.
Stabilisation correcte du lanceur après séparation.
Everything's going well. A word about the confirmations of major events in the flight. We're seeing the key moments happening at the right time, but we get the actual confirmations of those milestones slightly later. That's perfectly normal. That's because it takes a little time for the information to get from the launcher to the range operations manager here at the Guiana Space Center. And that's because it goes via Moscow, where it's validated before coming to the Launch Control Center here at the CSG.
Le déroulement du vol est conforme à l'attendu.
Top right-hand side of the screen is the trajectory, the planned trajectory. The white dot is the actual position of the launcher. Distance in the bottom middle there is the distance from the pad if you were to draw a line along the Earth. So we are now jettisoning the fairing that was protecting the satellite during the launch. But we don't need it anymore, because if you look at our altitude on the bottom left, you can see that we're 120 kilometers high, and we have crossed the border, the Kármán line as it's known, effectively the border with space. So there's not enough friction to cause us any problems, and we can see our satellite for the first time.
Tous les paramètres bord sont normaux.
Our speed there on the right-hand side, 3 kilometers per second at the moment. We'll be getting faster later. Let's just remind everybody that's kilometers per second. So we can see our satellite, there it is, on the right. The rectangular or square-looking sections, the blue sections are the solar panels, and the gold structure is the frigate upper stage. And now we have the scheduled separation of the second stage and ignition of the third stage. Actually, it's the other way around. Ignition of the third stage first and separation of the second stage later. That's because Soyuz...
Allumage bloc I, séparation bloc A et extinction.
There we go, have the confirmation there. Soyuz uses what's called a hot stage technique. That means that the third stage switches its engine on while the second stage is still burning. That's why the Soyuz has an open area in between the second and third stages, a kind of lattice work area. The launch campaign manager for
Propulsion du bloc est conforme à
OHB.
l'attendu.
Everybody focusing hard here. The computer-generated images that we are looking at, there they are, that's showing us what the experts have calculated is happening.
Le vol se déroule comme attendu.
This was 6 minutes and 7 seconds ago. The 16th Soyuz to lift off from the Guyana Space Center. It's the first time it's flown east, but it's also the first time that it's carried a satellite or carrying a satellite to geostationary orbit from the Guyana Space Center. Not the first time that Soyuz has taken a satellite to geotransfer orbit, but the first time from here. Galileo on the top left of these are the tracking stations you can see here. Galileo is the one at the Guyana Space Center. And Natal is the next one to pick up the signal. That's in northeastern Brazil.
Acquisition de la télémesure par la station de Natal au Brésil.
He's just confirmed that we've picked up the signal there in the Natal tracking station. That was a superb launch, wasn't it? Really beautiful. What a sight. So that was 7.5 minutes ago. We are heading off.
Suivant les trois axes sont conformes à l'attendu.
He's telling us that all three axes are going according to plan. They're as planned. Heading off on our 32-minute journey. Here's more about the satellite.
Hispasat 36W-1, previously called Hispasat AG-1, has been built by OHB System AG in Germany based on the new small GEO platform, which has been developed under ESA's Artist for Advanced Research in Telecommunications Systems program.
Hispasat 36W-1 is a very innovative satellite mission that we have been working on with the European Space Agency and different European companies led by OHB, and with an advanced payload developed by the Spanish industry, led by Thales Arianespace España and Airbus Defence and Space España. It is an excellent example of what public and private collaboration in the space sector should look like. We are sure that it will become a reference for the future PPPs in space in Europe.
We would like to thank Hispasat and ESA for the confidence put in Arianespace and its fleets of launch vehicles, and I look forward to seeing you soon for a future launch campaign.
Absolutely, and there's Beatriz there, who is indeed Spanish. And a big welcome to all the Spanish delegation and also to the German delegation here today at the Guyana Space Center. Coming up on separation of the third stage, which is our next event that is scheduled now. Superb images, you can see the curvature of our planet there. Look at our speed on the bottom right where he's confirmed the separation there. Speed 6.85. And we picked up, or lost the signal rather in Galileo. So frigate's getting ready to switch its engine on, frigate being the upper stage, the gold structure there. It's giving a quick burst of acceleration using small thrusters. And the idea of this is to push the fluids back into the tanks to make sure that the feed lines and propellant is going to ignite properly. It's a little bit like when you're driving in the car and you put your foot down on the accelerator and you get pushed back against the seat. So this is the scheduled moment that the frigate upper stage switches its engine on. And we're really starting the next phase now of the journey as Frigate takes the wheel. So it's that gold structure, as I said. On the left, you can see the satellite, telling us everything's normal. And Frigate actually has 6 spherical tanks, and they're organised in a circle. 4 of those contain propellant, and then 2 of them are for avionics. That's what you normally find in the cockpit of a plane. The flight control systems, navigation, communications, that sort of thing.
Confirmation du premier allumage du moteur frégate.
Yep, we've had confirmation there. The frigate upper stage has indeed turned its engine on. And the satellite is attached using a very special dispenser. Hispasat is a leading Spanish communications satellite operator, and they have 25 years of experience on the Iberian Peninsula and also in Latin America, where the group is now the 4th satellite operator. Hispasat 36W-1 is the 7th spacecraft that Arianespace has launched for their friends at Hispasat. The first ones were Hispasat 1A and 1B. Some of you may remember those. That was back in 1992 and 1993. And since then, Arianespace has launched Amazonas 2, 3 and 4A. And 36W-1 is number 7. It's a cutting-edge satellite full of innovative technologies.
Hispasat continues to grow with the launch of a new satellite, Hispasat 36W-1, which will be located at the 36° west orbital position above the Atlantic Ocean. Hispasat 36W-1 provides the operator with additional space capacity in Ku band for Latin America and Europe, as well as capacity on the Ka band for the Iberian Peninsula and the Canary Islands. This satellite is involved in the Small Geo Platform's first mission, developed by the manufacturer OHB Systems AG, together with the European Space Agency and Hispasat, and it has a launch mass of 3,200 kilos and dimensions of nearly 5 meters long by 2 meters wide. This platform will increase the capacity of the European industry to play a key role in the field of medium-sized commercial satellites. The new satellite is the first to be manufactured by OHB Systems AG and is included in the range of small geostationary satellites. It has 20 transponders in Ku band and capacity in Ka band, as well as a regenerative digital processor, an innovative antenna that actively receives the Ku band in reconfigurable beams, 2 deployable antennas, and altitude control on the 3 axes, which ensure better orientation precision. The company, OHB Systems AG, is responsible for its integration, the completion of all technical tests, and putting it into orbit.
Esta novedosa plataforma aportará nuevas oportunidades a nuestros clientes en América y Europa en banda Ku y Ka. El satélite Hispasat 36W-1 está diseñado para soportar tanto redes de datos como aplicaciones audiovisuales con la máxima calidad y flexibilidad. Su mayor potencia permitirá comunicaciones a mayor velocidad que los satélites de generaciones anteriores.
The Spanish industry has made an important contribution to the construction of the Hispasat 36W-1, as well as to its ground segment. One of the main additions is the regenerative payload of the latest RedSat generation, which has an innovative design that will allow Hispasat to use satellite power in Ku band more easily and efficiently, and to optimize its service at all times. It is made up of a powerful receiving antenna that is active with configurable beams, RedSat DRA, manufactured by Airbus Defence and Space España, and a processor, RedSat OBP, manufactured by Thales Alenia Space España, which reconfigures and rebroadcasts the signal received and is compatible with the standard DVB-S2. Thanks to RedSat, Hispasat will be able to adapt this satellite to the changes that may occur in the mission following its launch, such as the incorporation of new clients in different areas or a change in the orbital position.
Estamos muy orgullosos de la misión Smart Geo. Es destacable en esa misión el papel jugado por Hispasat como líder de la misma, que ha servido como apoyo para que la industria española pueda participar activamente en ella. Fruto de esa participación, queremos destacar el éxito alcanzado con los dos elementos innovadores tecnológicamente incluidos en ellos, la antena activa ELSA y el procesador RedSat.
Hispasat 36W-1 satellite represents an important milestone with the inauguration of a new orbital position at 36° west, and it significantly increases the capacities of the operator, which, following its launch, will be able to respond to the needs of its clients on both sides of the Atlantic more easily and efficiently. This satellite paves the way for a new generation of more flexible and adaptable satellites that are intended to improve communications.
Well, packed full of advanced technologies, a very exciting satellite. Right now, it's in the visibility of the Ascension tracking station, hurtling across the Atlantic Ocean. Ascension's an island in the middle of the Atlantic. It's quite small, actually. It's about 88 kilometres squared, and apparently it has roughly about 1,000 people on the island. And according to Wikipedia, it's the remotest populated archipelago on Earth. The island is part of that archipelago, the Tristan da Cunha archipelago. It was a stopping point for airliners during the early days of international space travel, and I believe that NASA had a communications dish there during the space race in the 1990s. I think it might have been used to track the Apollos. So here we are, 18 minutes now into our flight. And gosh, technology is racing ahead here on Earth, isn't it? Everybody wants new devices, everyone wants faster internet, more bandwidth, and the demand for communications from space seems to be growing. One thing's for sure.
Attendu de la télémesure au niveau de la station Ascension et trop de télémesure.
There we go. He's announced the Ascension tracking station. The markets are constantly evolving, and right now we're seeing increasing preference for smaller telecommunications satellites on geostationary orbit, satellites that are flexible and modular. And that's why the European Space Agency... Okay, we've picked up the signal there at the Libreville tracking station. That's on the west coast of Africa. So these changing markets, ESA wanted to help European industries to compete on the world stage and to have a solution to offer, which is why they decided to develop the platform under the ARTIS program, ESA's program for advanced research in telecommunications systems. Let's take a closer look at Small Geo, Europe's new platform. Meet Small Geo, the first of Europe's new family of satellite platforms launched into geostationary orbit. The European Space Agency developed Small Geo to help Europe's industries compete on the world stage and get a foothold in the fast-growing market of small commercial satellites. For this first in the series, ESA partnered with the Spanish telecommunications operator Hispasat, a new approach for speeding up access to space for advanced technologies.
It indeed, because Hispasat and ESA were able to join forces, that we were able to develop a satellite with such a level of innovation. On the one hand, a new platform with a new satellite prime contractor. On the other hand, a payload embarking also a high level of innovation. And indeed, separately, neither Hispasat nor ESA would have been able to undertake such a complex development.
This partnership allows the German prime contractor for the spacecraft, newcomer OHB, to test the platform in space and position itself in the small group of European industries who make telecommunications satellites. In space, size counts. Small GEO is designed to carry payloads of around 300 kilograms, in this case Hispasat 36W-1, with its innovative RedSat payload offering better signal quality and connectivity. It'll provide faster multimedia services for Europe, the Canary Islands and South America. Small GEO is modular, so it can be fitted out according to each customer's needs, helping them to keep up with continually changing TV, mobile and internet markets. The spacecraft is state-of-the-art and carries the very latest technologies on board.
Very much today a trend is to go towards full electric propulsion satellites. This is a class of satellites that only have electric propulsion on board, which is a high-efficient system that allows achieving important mass savings. So we are able to put in space a satellite with a similar capacity of a full chemical one, but with much lower mass, which means less launcher cost and compatibility with more launch vehicles.
With small GEO, European industries have a better chance of competing with manufacturers worldwide, whilst developing services that benefit everyone in Europe. So yes, a new way of working, although it's not actually the first time that the European Space Agency has done a public-private partnership. You may remember HILAS, I believe that was the first one. ESA has been very positive about the collaboration with Hispasat, and I'm sure that they'll all be doing it again. He's telling us we've got 5 minutes left of propulsion on the frigate upper stage. So Europe has a new prime contractor for geostationary satellites, OHB. Already 2 primes in Europe, Thales Arianespace and Airbus, and now there's a third one, the Gang of 3. This is an important flight for OHB, the German company, because it allows them to test their craft in space and certify it. Germany is an important European space power. It has a growing influence in space activities, plays a very important role in the decision-making bodies of the European Space Agency and, of course, within the European space industry generally. And it's also a key partner for Arianespace. In terms of OHB, Arianespace has 11 more satellites planned of theirs to launch, and 3 of those using the new small GEO platform. If you look on the right-hand side of the trajectory, you can see that whereas before we were using all our power to get away from the Earth, you can see we were travelling vertically up into space. Now we're using our power to go faster and faster and climb higher and higher. You can see in the curve that we had a bit of a dip in the altitude, sort of a roller coaster shape. Well, now we're climbing up into space to get to the point where we can release our satellite. It's been a great relationship between Arianespace and its partners.
We have a very long-standing relationship with a strong sense of cooperation and partnership with Arianespace. This special relationship has allowed changing the launcher from Ariane 5 to Soyuz at a late stage of the program to ensure an early launch date in a very smooth process. For the launch, it is always with great pleasure that we come to work in Kourou with our colleagues from Arianespace. We have a very good friends here, and it is always great to work in such a friendly environment. The campaign has been really smooth, and we hope that the launch, LEOP and IoT will keep in the same way.
We are using the frigate upper stage to deliver our satellite. A frigate was, interestingly, originally designed by the Russians as an interplanetary probe. You can see it there, the gold structure, the round gold structure with the spherical tanks. It was then adapted to fly on Soyuz, and I believe that the first time it was used on Soyuz was to release the cluster satellites into space. There are 4 satellites bouncing around our magnetosphere and checking it out. It can switch its engine on up to 20 times, and it can take its passengers virtually anywhere they need to go, so any kind of orbit. So that makes Soyuz ideal for launching all kinds of things, including constellations. Hispasat 36W-1's transfer orbit is 1,300 kilometers above the Earth, and it will need to be travelling at a speed of 8.83 kilometers. Our next tracking station to pick up the signal is Malindi. Right now we are flying out across Africa. And Malindi is in Kenya, which is the east coast of Africa. Malindi will be tracking the launcher during the separation. And we're getting ready to switch off the engine shortly. Frigate reduces its thrust slowly. That's because engines prefer to run down remaining fuel at a reduced power. It's steadier. Travelling at 9.3 kilometers per second. This is the scheduled moment that the frigate upper stage switches its engine off. And we're now entering what we call the ballistic phase. This means the computer has sent the command to switch the engine off, and we are travelling without propulsion. It means that we're on orbit. We are travelling high enough and fast enough to cruise without the engine. Our altitude 718 kilometers above Earth and climbing. Our distance from the pad, we've travelled nearly 11,000 kilometers if we were to draw a line along the Earth. And our speed 9.5 kilometers. Let's take a look at what's going to happen to the satellite once it's separated.
Following the separation from the launcher, a series of 5 apogee maneuvers will be performed to raise the perigee of the orbit to geostationary height. Once the satellite has reached the geostationary orbit, a series of drift maneuvers will be executed to set the satellite in the IoT position. Finally, it will be set to its nominal Earth pointing mode, and the solar array and antenna reflectors will be deployed. Once the satellite is in the IoT position, an extensive set of tests will be performed at platform, at payload level, to demonstrate that the satellite has survived to the launch. After these tests, the satellite will be positioned in 36 degrees west. After all these operations, the satellite will be ready for its orbital lifetime of 15 years, providing quality and satisfactory services to our customers.
30 minutes and 16 seconds. We are 958 kilometers above Earth and climbing to our transfer orbit. The transfer orbit is our drop-off point, if you like, and of course the satellite will have a long journey of its own to do after that. The Malindi tracking station is tracking all these maneuvers right now, and of course they will be focusing hard. sending the information back here to the Guyana Space Center. And the teams who are keeping an eye on those maneuvers here at the Space Center are the real-time visual control teams. You can see them here. They receive the data that comes from the launch vehicle. They analyze that in real time to see how the flight is progressing, and then they send that information through to the range operations manager so that he can make his announcements. And they also analyze the information, the data after the flight, so that they can see how it went and make any improvements or adjustments. We're coming up on separation. Just a reminder that we get our confirmations a little later than the actual scheduled event. That's because the information goes via Moscow. And we have an Arianespace member in the Moscow Mission Control Center, which is called TSUP. And then the information comes back here to the Guyana Space Center and the teams we just saw back there in the CVI. We're on altitude now. Our altitude is just above 1,300 kilometers above Earth, so we're at the correct altitude and at the correct speed. We've travelled 12,000 kilometers from the pad across our planet, but we are way above it.
Et confirmation de la séparation de la charge utile, Hispasat 36W-1.
We have confirmation there of separation of Hispasat 36W-1, Europe's first ever small GEO satellite, the first one in the small GEO family of small European geostationary satellite buses. And that's what it looks like. Small GEO is effectively pinged into space using a set of springs. The separation mechanism pushes the satellite away. It doesn't look like it's happening fast, but of course it is. Don't forget that it's travelling at between 8 and 9 kilometers per second. So the satellite is separated, and the operational teams who fly the spacecraft are now swinging into action. Those are the teams at Hispasat. But let's just have a quick reminder of that beautiful launch. This was about 33 minutes ago. Hoping to get a replay. There it is. So the spacecraft now separated, and we are waiting for the confirmation from the teams who have taken on their new bird that it's in good order, and a health check. We call that the acquisition of signal. That's going to be in about 15 minutes, or probably about 13 minutes time from now. But let's just remind everybody what happens to the satellite. We did see it earlier in the film. The events after separation. First thing that happens, of course, is that the Hispasat teams take their baby and the satellite will start deploying its solar arrays, partial deployment in about 3.5 hours' time. And the first burn is on day 1. There will be more burns on days 2 to 6 to take the satellite to its final position in space, which is 36,000 kilometers above our planet. It'll have what's called a braking burn, or some braking burns, on days 7 to 10. I guess that's to slow it down. And then full deployment of the solar arrays comes on day 11, then the reflectors, also on day 11, and we switch on the payload on day 15.
Les paramètres à bord sont conformes à l'attendu.
He's telling us that everything on board is normal. As you know, we have a family of 3 launchers here at the Guyana Space Centre. I like to think of them as the 3 bears, Mummy Bear, Baby Bear and Daddy Bear. Daddy Bear is Ariane 5, the beast of the family, the big heavy lifter. Soyuz is the medium lifter, Mummy Bear, and of course Baby Bear is Vega, the smallest one in the family, which takes satellites into low Earth orbit. It's been a busy year, 2016, at the Guyana Space Centre. There were 11 launches. Let's look back at them. And a quick look forward as well to the two new launches coming on stream, Vega C and Ariane 6. And yeah, some really happy memories there of those wonderful launches. So today is the first launch of 2017, which is going to be an even busier year. We've got 12 launches scheduled this year. That's up to 7 Ariane 5s, 2 Soyuz and 3 Vega. And we've got 5 more to perform before the end of April. So just to remind you, we are waiting now on the confirmation acquisition from Arianespace's customer to make sure the health of the satellite is all in order. Now we're looking here at the Mission Control Centre here at the Guyana Space Centre, but there are lots of buildings and lots of facilities. In fact, the Guyana Space Centre is roughly the size of the French Caribbean island of Martinique, about 750 square kilometres. Now we call the whole thing the range, and of course that includes the tracking stations or downrange stations, which are dotted along the flight path, and all those facilities are included in the range. We have the launch zones, we have the satellite preparation facilities, we have the launch control centres for the different vehicles, and the Soyuz launch zone, of course, is in Sina-Marie. And whereas here we're in the town of Kourou, for people familiar with the Space Centre. And right now the teams for Arianespace still have a job to do, even though they have separated the satellite, because they have passivation. I'll explain that in a second, but let's just take a little look now at the launch again. See, hopefully we get another replay coming up here. It was very beautiful, even though it did hide behind the clouds. See those swing around, how they pivot away as the launcher rises. Look, can you see the 4 of them? They have counterweights. They basically hold the launcher in position over the flame pit when it's on the pad. And as its thrust increases and the engines ignite, as Soyuz starts to leave the pad, they just automatically pivot away using the counterweights. So right now the Arianespace teams are overseeing what's called passivation. The frigate upper stage goes through a set of processes. It empties any remaining propellant in the tanks, and then it has to make its way to its graveyard orbit, as it's called, and that's where it starts falling back to Earth and burns up in the atmosphere.
Attendu de réception de la télémesure à la station de Malindi.
And the teams at the CVI that we saw earlier will be monitoring all of those manoeuvres. So the teams at Hispasat taking on their new bird. Congratulations to everybody as they do that. We're waiting now to hear from them to get the confirmation acquisition from Hispasat 36W-1. Well, it looks to me like we have a positive acquisition. Hispasat 36W-1 is in space. ESA's small GEO platform has made its inaugural flight, and it's now heading towards its final destination, 36,000 kilometers above our planet in geostationary orbit. Our congratulations to all the teams who have worked so hard to bring us to today and to put this very innovative and advanced piece of kit into space. Well done, everybody. Big slaps on the back all around. Everyone can feel very, very proud of themselves. So we launched 54 minutes ago. And we had to wait a little while to get our acquisition, just to make sure that the satellite was in a good health. And now we are waiting for the official speeches. A job well done. The Spanish and German delegations, congratulations to you all. And here's Stefan Israel, the chairman and CEO of Arianespace.
Distinguished guests, Arianespace is delighted to announce that Hispasat 36W-1 has been separated as planned on the targeted standard geostationary transfer orbit. For our first launch of the year and the 16th Soyuz since its introduction in the European Spaceport, our medium-weight vehicle performed flawlessly. Congratulations to all. The passenger for this flight, Hispasat 36W-1, is the 7th satellite launched by Arianespace for the Spanish operator Hispasat since 1992. Doing so, more than 60% of Hispasat satellites currently in operation have been orbited by Arianespace. And as Carlos told me a few hours before, I should also mention that Hispasat's broadcasting services were strengthened with relay capacity on 2 other satellites launched by Arianespace in 2015 and 2016. So let me express my gratitude to Hispasat CEO, Carlos Espinos, and CTO, Antonio Abad, who honor us with their presence tonight. I am sure that we will have future opportunities together. Congratulations also to our partner, OHB System AG, who built its first GEO satellite based on Europe's new small GEO platform. We have 11 more OHB satellites in our backlog, including 3 small GEO satellites and the very famous additional Galileo 8. OHB is also a key shareholder of Arianespace, and we are very happy to partner for many common successes. So we have Marco with us. Marco was with us for Galileo, so every 2 months you come back to CSG. It's a very good habit. And so thanks for your trust, Marco. Let me highlight the presence of ESA DG Jan Werner and Magali Vessière, Telecoms Director. With Hispasat's small GEO platform developed under ESA ARTES program, Arianespace is proud to deliver tonight at the service of European space innovation. I want to give a special thanks to ESA because we have worked together a lot during 1 year to accommodate this mission. You really support us to do so, and it's a success, a joint success tonight. So thank you very much. We are pleased tonight as well to welcome a large Spanish and German delegation for this flight. And it is a good opportunity for Arianespace to highlight how European we are. Regarding Spain first, I want to thank key members of the CDTI, starting with Director General Francisco Marin, who is with us tonight. I would like to remind as well that IADS Casa Espacio and CRISA are shareholders of Arianespace, while CTD is a significant ground contractor here in CSG. Moreover, Spain remains a long-standing contributor to the Ariane program. Regarding Germany, we welcome State Secretary Norbert Bartlö, Senator Martin Günther, Member of the European Parliament Constanze Krell, as well as Gerd Gruppe, Member of the Executive Board of DLR, responsible for the Space Agency. So we are very honored by this delegation. We were to have also Minister Cypris, but she has been distinguished for new functions, but she wanted to be with us tonight. Germany is a second contributor to the Ariane program, and as well, through MT Aerospace and ASL GmbH, the second shareholder of Arianespace. Thanks for your continuous support. Ladies and gentlemen, this first flight of the year is also the first ever mission to GTO with Soyuz from the CSG. It demonstrates one more time the availability and flexibility of Arianespace launch vehicle family at the service of our customers. I would like to express my gratitude to our Russian partners Roscosmos, RKC Progress, NPO Lavochkin, and Senki for their cooperation and this perfect success tonight. Let me congratulate also all the European teams who, alongside our Russian partners, have greatly contributed to today's success, our ground contractors here in French Guiana, our daily partner, the CNES CSG, run by Didier Fèvre, and ESA Launcher Directorate, run by Daniel Neuenschwander. Of course, let me pay my tribute to my Arianespace colleagues for this first success of the year. We have 11 launches more to deliver in 2017, including 5 more flights to perform by late April. So our teams will be very busy here at the Spaceport, but I think it's good news for everyone. So I would like now to welcome to the stage our customers and partners. Thank you very much.
Authorities, dear Stefan, Jan, Marco, Paco, friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wonderful moment. As a member of Hispasat, I'm pleased to be here today to share with all of you the successful launch of a new Hispasat satellite, the Hispasat 36W-1. It was exciting to be able to attend its live placement into orbit, which is always a complicated, difficult, and risky operation. It was also the first time that a Hispasat satellite has been launched in a Soyuz vehicle, which allowed us to once more verify the excellent reliability of Arianespace launchers. The operation was again carried out with the soundness and professionalism that we have come to expect of Arianespace. And now we have the satellite in its transfer orbit. Over the coming weeks, in-orbit testing of the satellite will be performed, as well as the maneuver necessary to place it in its final orbital position, the 36 degrees west. And we hope to have it fully operational early in April. Because of this, Stefan, I would like to recognize the work of Arianespace that, as always, has been done with excellence, while never losing the trust that we have placed on its professionals. I would also like to thank the European Space Agency for the opportunity it gave us to participate in a project of great interest for the future of the European space industry. We are very satisfied with this collaboration, which has allowed us to participate in a leading technological project to which the ESA has added significant value with its knowledge and experience in the space sector. We were able to form from the very beginning a very good team, and we felt the support and the understanding of the agency at all moments, for which I would to thank personally Jan Werner, the General Director, Magali Basier, that is an exceptional and outstanding professional, and all the team that worked on the project. I would also like to thank the Spanish administration, led by the Ministry of Industry and the CDTI, for their continued support to the Spanish space industry. Many thanks to Paco Marín, the General Director, Juan Carlos Cortés, that is the Director of International Programs, and the whole team that worked closely with us to promote this project, and not only this, but others that are supporting the Spanish activity, giving them the outstanding position that it deserves for their high level of quality and technological advance. I cannot leave out the Spanish industry, which has greatly contributed to the construction of this satellite, providing many of its components and a very innovative payload. I want to extend my special thanks to the Hispasat team that now is following this launch from our facilities, both in Madrid and in Río de Janeiro. Hola, buenas noches a todos. Sé que nos estáis viendo. Estoy encantado de que estéis ahí. Y además estoy orgulloso de trabajar con todos vosotros. Muito obrigado for the Hispamar team. Finally, I would also like to thank the OHB team for their collaboration and professionalism to developing this project, which was not easy, as you know, Marco, very well. But this is the case for new designs and for the space programs. Hispasat considers that this new satellite is an important step forward in our innovation technology. We are looking forward to having the satellite fully operational and to begin enjoying the excellent services it has to offer. Once again, thank you very much, and my warmest congratulations to all of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ESA, of course, I would like also to say a few words. Congratulations to all the members who made this possible. It's a great day. It's, for me personally, always a very special situation when I can observe a launch. It's never routine. I know that all the people working for it are doing a great job, and the more you know about a launch, the more you understand that it's very special. It's not that you get closer to it and say, okay, it's just here and there a pipe or something like that. No, the more you know about it, the more you really enjoy it and you see what it is. So small GEO, everything was said. Maybe we get some more information. It has a long history. It's an excellent new platform. Hispasat 36W-1, a very nice situation also to reach more people with space by infrastructure. But for me today, it's also a word of the beauty of space in general and the position of the European Space Agency. Because what I always say is united space in Europe. And this is really what we can see today. We have the different member states, namely, of course, France, Germany, and Spain, but there are even more member states participating by funding, but also by industrial participation. And this makes then a great story at the end of the day, that we are not celebrating national success, but we are celebrating here European success, and I think this is very good. So the second part is the global cooperation beyond earthly crisis. We know it is a Russian launcher, and I can tell you that just when I was sitting here, I got a message from Igor Komarov. This is the head of the Roscosmos, of the Russian Space Agency, and he said also, congratulations for the successful launch of Hispasat. Thank our teams. This is what he wrote to me, and I think this shows that we can cooperate even in very difficult political situations. Space can do it, and we should always look to that. We need this bridge a bit for the whole globe, not only for 2 or 3 countries. To celebrate success is easy. We are doing this right now. To reach the success is very, very difficult sometimes. At least it is not easy. And in this respect, I would like to mention just two persons. One was the initiator of the whole story. This was your father, Marco, Manfred Fuchs. And I certainly think that he would be delighted to see the success of more than 10 years of an idea of small GEO. And of course also the German space agency supported this idea from the very beginning. But then when it was more or less handed over to ESA, it was Magali Vézière. And therefore, Magali, you really deserve a special applause because you made it happen. No, please give a special applause for Magali. Yes. Because what I learned through the last years as head of the German Aerospace Center and then now as the DG of ESA is really that she is really determined to her work and she did a great job. So thanks to all the people working directly for this project but also supporting the project behind or in front of a curtain, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
So Mr. Stefan Israel, Mr. Jan Werner, Mr. Carlos Espinosa, Mr. Marco Fuchs, Mr. Andreas Hammer. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I have to say thank you to all the partners, to all the participants of this great event, of this wonderful launch we saw today. And I think we all celebrate a remarkable milestone with this launch of the first small GEO satellite. It's not only the first GEO satellite, small GEO satellite, it's now the beginning of a new project. And I want to say it's maybe the first step to new business models. I think we can open the door for this, and the German industry is willing to do that. Thanks to Mark Fuchs and his team for organizing this from OHG. And another point to say is 10 years ago, this program started in the ESA. And from the start, from the first steps to now, to the countdown, to the ignition of the rocket, a lot of time went over and a lot of work has to be done. And you need great experience, technical experience, you need scientific knowledge, you need the competence to put together a lot of pieces. And therefore, I thank very much the ESA, Mr. Jan Werner and Magali for this wonderful work that we can send now here in this place. And the third thanks is addressed to TESAT, because they mastered the payload responsibility as a premium partner, and with this prime status, we get new possibilities for German space industry, and therefore a great thanks to Mr. Hammer, to Andreas Hammer and his team from my home city, Backnang. I thank also all the other partners from Spain, Hispasat, from Sweden, OHB, from Lux Space, and especially from Russia. And let me add, last month we had a ministerial conference in Lucerne, and there we decided our further engagement. So I hope we will see more successful launches from this place in this program. And let me add some political remarks, at least. If we recognize the vibrations the new US government sends over the ocean to us, and maybe it's not only a vibration, I think it's very necessary, more than ever before, that we in Europe have our own capacity and their own competence to enter the space, to shoot satellites in the space, and to put together all the European competence you can find for a successful mission. Thank you for all this.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning in Europe. As I know, many people are following the live stream of this event in Europe, in Bremen, at OHB in Bremen, also at home, I'm sure, some of the colleagues, but also in Oberpfaffenhofen. This is always a special moment to sit here and wait for the first telemetry. As a satellite manufacturer, of course, you follow the sequence of the launch, everything has been done, separated. But of course, for the satellite manufacturer, the moment is the telemetry. So checking the SMS from the team and waiting for that one moment. Even I've been here quite often. It's very, very relieving to have that. And I would like to thank everybody in the Jupiter Control Center working on that mission. Of course, my first thank goes to Arianespace. Stefan, another perfect beginning into 2017. I hope it will be another successful year as we saw over the last few years. So you're leading the company on a remarkable success way, and I would like to thank you on behalf of the whole European space industry for what you and your Arianespace team has achieved over the last years. It's really outstanding, and it's, as Staatssekretär Bartley said, it's very important around these days to be independent and be able to do this on our own. A big thank you, Carlos, to you from Hispasat. I'm really honored to really be in this moment and launch the Hispasat satellite for you. We worked hard on this. We had our discussions. We talked earlier about it. Thanks for the confidence to you, and of course also to Antonio, who is over there managing the mission. ESA was very helpful. Magali has been honored. That's really, really deserved. You have over the last years pushed this together with your team, Stefan and Andrea. Thank you very much for your support on that. But of course also DLR, Gerd Gruppe and Gerd Kraft are somewhere here. Thank you for your support and believing in small GEO and also making it possible that there's a future after this first mission. And that, of course, is supported also by our Ministry of Economy. Deputy Director General Schliegenkamp is here. Thank you for supporting us also financially, because this is really a PPP. And that means there's the customer, Hispasat, who pays a lot. There's the public side, but also OHB invests heavily into this mission. So I can only say this is a real big night for OHB, because it proved that the decisions we took years ago to invest also in the large satellites, the GEOs, has proven to be right, and we are now playing in a different league. And that is only possible because our team at OHB System was working so hard, and I would like to thank the team, especially under the leadership of Dieter Birek, who went through difficult, hard work over the last years. That has been really a great success. We are now working on 8 other GEO satellites. We have, as we mentioned before, EDA-SC coming, Electra coming. We have 6 MTG satellites where we build the platforms, and we hope that also Heinrich Hertz as a national mission will be added to that list in the next month. Dr. Gruppe is smiling. That is a good sign. Because that is important that we really establish a production line. I would like to wish Carlos luck with the business case of this satellite, because I know making money in space is very difficult. It looks so easy, but it's not so easy to make money in operating satellites. It's not so easy to make money in building rockets and satellites as well. So this is an industry where you really need devoted people that really believe in the cause of what we do. And it's an honor for me to be together with you here, trying to do that. So thank you very much, and I hope now, Stefan, taking the word, you will introduce us for a little celebration that I'm sure you have prepared, as always perfect prepared event from Arianespace. Thank you very much.
So thanks, Marco. Thank you, everybody, and especially Hispasat, our customer, tonight. So we will be back in the Guyana Space Center on February the 14th. It is a special day, February the 14th. I think it is what we call in French La Saint-Valentin. And we are going to celebrate it with 2 satellites. One for DirecTV Latin America, Sky Brazil 1, and one for Telkom in Indonesia satellite, Telkom 3S. And it will be with Ariane 5. It will be the beginning of the Ariane year on February the 14th. Mesdames et messieurs, merci beaucoup et profitez bien de la soirée. À bientôt. Merci beaucoup.
See you very soon.
Stefan Israel there, ending the speeches with the successful launch of Hispasat 36W-1. Europe's new small GEO satellite. So it's mission accomplished for Arianespace and their partners. Congratulations to Hispasat and the teams who are now taking on the job of flying and operating the satellite. Congratulations to the European Space Agency and the inaugural flight of the first one in the small GEO family of platforms. And congratulations to the German manufacturer, OHB, who can now go ahead and certify their new platform. It's been a successful launch and the satellite is now on its way to its final orbit. Thank you for joining us here at the Guyana Space Center. See you again soon on Valentine's Day. Bye-bye.
Top, allumage et décollage.